All right. Hopefully everybody can hear me. All right. Yeah, I should have unmuted the mic. You guys should be able to hear me. Hopefully, Christoph. Can you guys see my home assistant? This is a little Lovelace here. All right, good. Loud and clear. Perfect. Yeah, actually, yeah, I won't bore you with the details, but new mic. Don't know if it sounds better. I'll have to go back and listen to the other streams. So, I just want to give a quick shout out. I am not creative enough to come up with this stuff. So, if you're on Discord, on Dr. Z's Discord channel, there's a guy on there, his name's Dinotech. He goes by Dinotech. Anyway, he's got some amazing dashboards. And he also has, let's see here. He has a, oh wow, community site's back up. I guess Frank fixed it. He's got some really good stuff. And he posted, you know, lots of just amazing dashboards. So, again, as you can see, I totally, no need in me reinventing that wheel, so I stole those from him. But anyway, tonight, I wanted to talk about a few things. Grafana is kind of the Home Assistant specific topic. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about servers. So, you know, and I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this, but I literally have like servers that I just don't power on, and there's a reason why. So I'm going to talk about that. And I was actually hoping Dr. Z was going to join just so you could hear it, but maybe I'll be honored enough that he'll listen to the restream later. So with that being said, let's just kind of dive right into that. So I know this is just some random website that I found that you can put in the power that, you know, they have some typical devices, but at the end of the day, you put in some power consumption, how many hours per day it's going to be used, and what your cost is. My rate is 11 cents a kilowatt hour. So this is a server, and actually, let me see if I can do this. So just to give you an idea before I flip over to my server, 500 watts, 24 hours a day at 11 cents a kilowatt hour is, you know, a little over $1 a day. So, you know, it's $40 a month. It's almost $500 a year to run like a server. And when I say a server, I'm talking about, you know, enterprise class rack mount server, right? Something with 2 processors and some significant amount of memory. And obviously, the more spinning physical disks you have, the more power requirements there are. So most of these servers stay powered off. A matter of fact, the server that I'm about to show you is so bad that the CMOS battery has died, and I've lost my other window. Let me find it here. So, I guess I closed that on accident. No biggie. I think I replaced that tab. Just log in real quick, and I will. Oh, and I just realized I left my water downstairs. Well, I do have another session open somewhere. I don't know where I put that. Oh well. You guys all see my password there? So, and you'll have to excuse me. So this is a pretty beefy server. Blah. It's got a couple of Xeon processors. there's a lot of cores. So there's 20 cores. They're only 2.4 gigahertz, but anyway, so CPU 1 and 2, 10 cores apiece. It's hyper-threaded, so you get 20 cores, yada, yada, yada. This server actually has quite a bit of memory in it as well. But what I really wanted to show you was this right here. So here's the power supplies. And this is what they're currently running at, which I think if I go back to summary, oh no, it should have been, yeah, here we go. You can actually see the total. So this server is literally like, it's not even booting, it doesn't even have an OS running, and it's drawing 520 watts. So back to my calculator. I have some really nice friends, but anyway. So my point though is that, you know, even though you can find servers on eBay or Craigslist or whatever, Facebook Marketplace, wherever you want to find them. And this is actually a fairly recent server. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's probably, I don't know, maybe three or 4 years old, maybe older than that. But my point is that it's $500 a year for me to run that, right? And that's if I'm not pushing it at all. Obviously, as the CPU load increases, that power draw goes up. And I don't know if you saw the maximums or not, but, you know, there's a warning threshold set at 1,000 watts per power supply. So now that's 2,000 watts. So if we just like said, well, okay, maybe each power supply got up to 500 watts each, and so I was consuming 1,000 watts. Now it's $1,000 a year to run that server. Like, that's just not, like, I'm out. Matter of fact, when I need to, the next thing I'm going to do is hit this red button right here, which is to power off the server. Because it's just, it's costing me money right now, and I'm not doing anything with it. Like I said, it's just, I don't, currently it's in a funk, and I don't have it's not booting. So anyway. Hey, Madrin, thanks for joining. Sorry it's so late. Yeah, I realize it's a global scale or global time zones now, so my apologies for being a little bit late. But anyway, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time like going through all of you know, what people should or shouldn't buy. That's a total preference thing. But I think what you know, in my, again, Ty's opinion, you should definitely consider what your goal is for the server and what you want to achieve. Because the other thing to keep in mind is like those Xeon servers, they don't support, like, I know that Dr. Z was specifically wanting to run MotionEye. And if you want to run MotionEye, you really want to leverage some of the Intel technology that they call QuickSync that's only in certain processors. And so if you buy an enterprise class server, it's not going to have those chipset features, and therefore you are not going to get the kind of performance that you think you should out of it. So these servers are meant for running lots of virtual machines, which, by the way, my actual day job is I've been in the IT industry for about 20 years. The last 8, and if you look, the reason I'm telling you guys this is I had to do as a quick Google search on LinkedIn or whatever, but the last 8 or almost 9 years I've spent with a small virtualization company called VMware. So I have a lot of experience with that in general. And prior to that, I was at a large telco and a couple of startups. And so anyway, my point is that I'll tell you what I run right now. What's running Home Assistant is an Intel NUC. And it, you know, when you consider what it costs to run a server for a year, the Intel NUC becomes extremely cost effective, because the Intel NUC, you know, most of them draw, I think, on the high side, like maybe 60 watts. So, you know, now we're talking about $60 a year. So you still have to buy the big bad server, typically, And then you got to pay for the power. So whatever you thought you were saving by buying a big bad server, you're going to spend in your power bill. And my rates are pretty low. I was actually talking to a coworker of mine, and I'll give him a shameless plug right now. He runs this website here called Tinkertry. His name's Paul. He's got a lot of really great information about his home lab setup and what works well specifically for VMware. He is a big fan of the Supermicro Xeon D series, mini ITX form factor, and that's probably what I will build as my NUC replacement, because they're getting a little bit older and I'm not really pushing them, but I have some other things that I want to do specific to storage and virtualized storage or software-defined storage. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to put all this in perspective and shed a little bit of light on it. So, Dr. Z, if you watch the restream, I'm totally happy to send you a server. I have other servers. It's not just that one. But my point is that whatever you thought you were going to save by getting a free server, you're going to give to the power company. Because I already looked up the Utah electric rates, and I think they're at about 8.8 if you're under a certain kilowatt hour per month. If you're over that, then it goes up to, I think, 11 cents or something. So again, 500 watts, calculate at 8.8, you're still spending almost $400 a year. Anyway, just gets expensive. Yeah, 20 watts. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, Christoph. So I don't have a way to calculate or to look and see what they're consuming. But I appreciate that. So even if we just were a little conservative and said 30 watts, it's $23. Yeah. And Blake, I'm so glad that you brought up solar, because I've contemplated doing some panels, and I would love to understand the math on that. But when I first started digging into it, again, if you, and I won't bore you guys with the details, but when I went and put the math in to run a 500 watt server for a month, it basically required 4 kW, right, of panels, which is like 10 or 12 panels, 325 watts a piece. That means then I got to have some place to store that electricity for when the sun goes away. So I really would need double that to be able to capture enough energy through the day to run the server at night. So now we're talking about 20 panels, and I don't even remember what they cost, but it's not just the cost of the panels. You got transfer switch, you got all the wiring, you got to get up on the roof. And anyway, my point is, that's an even bigger investment. And I realize, he's probably already made it for his house, but I'm just saying a server could take a lot of solar panel and just, suck the life out of it. It would very much look like this picture here. It would be a total eclipse of the solar energy that was generated. So anyway, but happy to talk about it more. It's all good stuff. I'm not saying that a NUC is for everybody, but what I will say is that for me, it's really fit the needs of me personally. So they let you, I forget what they call that. The meter runs backwards, so you get credit. But yes, Blake, again, that's awesome. Unfortunately, where I live in Oklahoma, they don't do that. So I don't think, anyway. Last time I looked into it, and there was zero tax incentive, so at least at a state level, and there was zero help. What you may not be aware of, the state that I live in is typically known for producing large amounts of oil, and so you can see the conflict there. So anyway, all right, I said we were going to talk about Grafana, and we're like 15, 17 minutes in. So hopefully those of you that joined to hear about Grafana are not necessarily Grafana experts, because I am not an expert. But I have been working with it, and I'm pretty excited. And I don't know where my stinking pages went, but I had everything set up, and obviously that did not work out well. So let's just do this. I'm going to pull this down here. Actually, I'll do it up here. We can do it here. Oops. Before I do that, I was actually in the edit mode here. Let me get rid of this over here. Okay. So I've been working on my Lovelace a little bit. I think I caught a little flack last time because, you know, it just didn't. I hadn't cleaned it up, to be honest. So I have a lot of stuff going on. Lots of lights, lots of media players. Yeah. So I'm trying to get there. So this is, I'm trying to keep things simple too. So these are all the lights that are on in the house right now. So like, I know these need to be turned off. So I do kind of like some of these cards and the ability to do filters. So that's cool. Yeah, I agree. Lame on the power company here, but it is what it is. So let's we will go here. I'm going to pull up Grafana, and hopefully my dashboards are still there. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So I can. Hey, Sai, no worries. Thanks for joining. I realize it's late in the UK. Appreciate it. You're probably not going to miss a whole lot. We could do a couple things. I can show you. Really, Grafana was pretty easy to set up. So if you guys want, I can kind of just show you. Well, let me preface that with, if you're running Hass.io and you have the community add-ons available, then running, installing Grafana and InfluxDB are pretty straightforward. So if you don't know how to do that, add-on store, I have a couple other add-ons there. The one you're looking for is the community Hass.io add-ons. You can install Grafana and InfluxDB right from there. They show up in the dashboard, and I looked at this earlier. I don't think I have any passwords in here. Yeah, so there were a couple of other things that I needed to do in the Home Assistant config. Specifically, you have to tell it to what you're going to log to the InfluxDB from Home Assistant. That's all pretty well documented. If you guys want me to cover that at some point, I can do it, or I can do it now. I have my config up. I'm not too worried. I think almost all my passwords are in my secret file. I don't have my Home Assistant exposed to the internet in a traditional fashion, thanks to Zero Tier. But at any rate, so I'm not real worried. Even if you got my password, I don't know. I guess I should be worried, but whatever. So Grafana was the same way. Again, it's a pretty straightforward install. Frank's instructions say not to use his config, but to create your own. And in all honesty, Frank, I just copied and pasted. So, whatever. It works. So this is the default Grafana instance name. That stuff was really pretty straightforward. So the next thing was kind of like, well, what are you going to do with this, Ty? So hopefully you guys can see that now. Let me pull this window down just a little bit. So this was a panel I was working on earlier, and I got a little distracted. I was watching Dr. Z's live stream. So one thing I am going to show you that I did, and this took me just a minute to figure out because it just wasn't very clear initially. I think the first time you log into Grafana, you'll kind of come to this page. This might be expanded here, but if you want to add a user, which I'm going to do, and by the way, I don't prep for these typically. I just kind of pick a topic. I have a little bit of knowledge. Hopefully I'll gain some with the help of you guys. So that's the goal. But anyway, server admin. So yeah, we'll save those changes. The good thing is when you're editing the dashboards in here, anytime you save a change, it asks you for some notes. So again, passwords aren't seen, but the one thing I wanted to show you is you want to go where I went down here to server admin, and you want to click on users, and you want to add a user for Has.io. And set a password. And when you add a new user, when you click this green button, it's going to ask you for a name, email, username, password. The other thing that I did was, if we go back to users, and it won't show the password, so you can change the password here, was I set the permissions to viewer. And I'm going to talk about why I did that in a minute, because the goal of the stream tonight is to add Grafana to a dashboard, a Grafana graph to a Lovelace card or panel, or wherever you might want to use it. So we're going to need that user, and like I said, you guys are going to kind of follow along with me because I didn't get some of this stuff done today. So we're going to go back to dashboards. So when you first sign in to Grafana, it wants you to set up the data source. So you're going to go here to data source, and you're going to click on InfluxDB, and you're going to follow the great directions that the community add-ons provide, which is all I did. I didn't have any problems. You simply put in the URL for the InfluxDB server, which Frank gives you in the directions of the Grafana community add-on. You tell it what the database is. You tell it what the database username and password is, just in case you're not clear on what this is. And it's added as a source. So once you get that done, if we go back home, so you install InfluxDB, change your config.yaml so that Home Assistant or Has.io starts sending all of the state information to the InfluxDB. So you will have to also configure the InfluxDB database, username, password in your config for, and let me see, I've got that pulled. I think I've got it pulled up here. Let's see if I can find it. Packages, Influx, yeah, and we're good. Okay, let me pull this over. So my config is set up. I don't know that I would call it like Frank's, but I tried to use his outline framework, Frank's framework, or his style of config. I don't have I still have a bunch of entries in my configuration.yaml, but they're all commented out, and I just left them there in case something went south. But anyway, here's InfluxDB config, host, port, all this stuff. I have SSL turned off because I don't really need it internally. This is just server-to-server communication. I'm not real worried about it. So that's what that looks like. So pretty straightforward. You put an InfluxDB command in, and it starts sending that stuff. And then I'm trying to remember where, let me see if I can find the config file for, I'm trying to remember where the setting was where you told it to send the state data. I don't remember, but it's, I promise I pretty much followed all the directions from community add-on. So anyway, all right. So that's the high level. Get a Grafana InfluxDB installed, create a database in InfluxDB, configure Has.io to send data to the InfluxDB database. Then you launch Grafana, connect Grafana to that data source, and then you can create your first dashboard. And so for me, I've never really used Grafana, so let me just walk you through. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this dashboard here and why it's important to me. I have, if you'll notice, right now the time is set to the last hour worth of data. So I'm actually going to change that because I was just kind of playing around with it anyway. So just go over here to time range, and you can do, 5 days if you want. And when you click, it populates. So I've had this running for a while. So obviously if you go install InfluxDB and Grafana and you get all this stuff set up, unfortunately, you're still going to have to wait some time for it to pull the data in and start collecting all the sensor data. In this case, the state data and all that good stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why, and it's probably not real easy to see on the live stream, but maybe it is. It's just, like, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of charts and graphs and I'm kind of looking forward to Lovely. I need to set this to my default. I'm really not using the states view much anymore, so, but whatever. If I go here, like, so, again, simple card for the thermostat or environmental stuff. If I click on these badges, like, it gives me a chart and I can see all the same data, right? And, this is from probably the last 24 hours. So as long as you want to see the last 24 hours, and maybe this is tunable, I don't know. That's great. But I think what's kind of missing is, like, so I don't want to get too sidetracked and see a squirrel, but what I found, so I have a log home, and it's not the tightest house on the block. So anyway, my point is humidity is extremely important to me, probably more so than the temperature. And I'm going to show you what happens and why that is, and kind of why one of the things that, this is just one of many things that Grafana is able to do that is just kind of, I don't know that I'm going to be able to use the data in a positive way. I'm going to try and figure out how to maybe make some things better. But what I've done was I took essentially those 4 badges that were on the environmental page, and I put them all in a single graph that's overlaid. That gives me all the points. And so what you can see that's kind of interesting is that, so these bottom 2, the orange and the blue, are humidity, the yellow and the green are temperature. Okay, so I have 2 thermostats. So, and I'm going to show you how I built this here in just a minute, because that part took a little bit, but I think you guys will pick up on it pretty quick. So, yeah, pie charts. Okay, yeah. So Christoph, maybe we'll get into that. So, I just saw your chat message there. I'll that was on my list too, and I'm going to talk about plugins and stuff as well. So, but what's interesting and what you'll notice is as the temperature goes up, the humidity goes down quite a bit. So, and as the temperature goes down, the humidity goes up. So here we were at 68. The temperature was 68 in the house, actually 66 on the main floor. And the humidity was, and I need to change that. I'll show you. I need to fix that. They both stay upstairs humidity, but there's 2 different numbers because I didn't change the label, but I'll show you that. So, anyway, my point is that as the temperature goes up, the humidity goes down. And I have I bought basically the largest humidifier that I could, a whole home humidifier, and plumbed it into the HVAC. But it's still not really big enough to keep up, and that shows. So, that being said, let me just walk you through how I kind of created this for the new guys out there that are not familiar with Grafana. So, I think what I'll do, because it's good practice for me, I'm just going to create. So, you click to create a new dashboard. This is going to be blank, or I think it might throw a panel out there by default. We're going to add a new panel. So that's this button up here, add a panel. And, there are a couple of different tools. And I was actually looking forward to playing around with single stat too, because you can do some spark lines behind it. Yes, I think the graphs in Grafana look way better than the graphs. Again, just my opinion. And there's certainly a lot more detail, and you get the hover over when you're in Grafana of all of the actual, like where you're at with the cursor. It shows you what the values were. And then you also get, some averages down below. And you can resize these panels, by the way, so you can kind of scrunch them down. That's probably a little easier to see in some ways, and you get a little more idea of the variation in temperature between, you know, the low over here, which I don't have to go find it there. The minimum was 67, the max was 82, and here's my average. So that's kind of nice too. You get a min, max, average, and there's some other options. So I will show you how I built this panel. So you pick a panel. This was the panel that I picked, and where it says panel title, there's a drop down. So we go edit, and now it's kind of like, okay, now what do I do? Usually what you want to do, just to make sure, is the default is probably InfluxDB, but I just go make sure that the data source that it's actually pulling from InfluxDB. So in here, in this case, you know, it was from default. So the first thing you need to do is go over here where it says select measurement and pick state. And then we're going to click on the plus next to where, and we want an entity ID. And then we pick, so this is pulling, it looks like it's pulling it from Home Assistant, but it's not. I mean, these are essentially the columns and the rows of the data that, I shouldn't say columns and rows because Influx is not like that. But at any rate, this is the data that got put in to InfluxDB. So now I can just search for things like upstairs, because that's what my thermostat is called, for the upstairs. I know it probably should be more descriptive, and that's probably my fault. But the next thing we want to do is, I think it's climate. And actually, I think this needs to be climate. But this is why I'm doing this. And I can go back and look at my other one if I need to. And I need to change that. I think this is it. I think it's, let's see. I don't think that's right. I'm going to go back here for a second. See, this is why I'm doing it. I'm not extremely proficient. Oh yeah, it is upstairs and then current temperature. By the way, here's how I found like what I needed to do was, let me go back and edit this, and we're going to change that. By the way, on general, temp, let's just make a new one. Let's call it outside temp. And I'm going to add those, but I'll show you how I did this. You can give it a description. Okay. So the way that I find those was, you know, just like everybody else, you just kind of have to fumble your way through it. I'm just kidding. I fumbled my way through it. Devices. We want to go here. And I did a search for upstairs. And that's a binary. Here's the climate upstairs. So this is climate upstairs, and you will see the current temperature is 72 and the actual humidity is 36. So those are the things that I was looking for. While we're here, since we were planning on getting maybe some outdoor temperatures, we're going to look for dark sky. So we have dark sky apparent temperature. That'll probably be good. And we probably can find one for humidity. Oh yeah, right there. Dark sky humidity. It's raining here, by the way, if you didn't notice. So now we know what two we want to get. We just kind of got to figure out how they are called out here. So we want dark sky temperature. Oh, wait. See, but this is a sensor, and this is where even I, because it's a state, so I think it still has to be dark sky. And it's probably the summary. And then let's see what we get here. What are we looking for? Oh, I just realized you guys can't see that because it was covering it up. Dark sky, humidity, and dark sky. Daily summary. Yeah, I don't want daily summary. Apparent temperature. Maybe that's its own. So let's go back here. Sky. Yeah, maybe I can't pick that. Minutely, summerly. Maybe I should pick this one instead. This is how I learn. Maybe there's a better way, but for me, this is what works. All right, so now we're looking for temperature. Current temperature. Okay, I don't need anything there. I set this to none instead of null because it did a better job of filling in. So, but we don't have any data points, and we should. Oh, that's concerning. That's not what I wanted. And obviously I'm going to have to work on this some more. All right. So maybe what I do is just build the one I had for you guys. Let's go back and do that because that might work a little bit better since I, at least quasi, have done that one. So as you can see, when it pulls data, the good thing too is that this graph updates real time. So you get like instant feedback. Unlike some things that I feel like in Home Assistant where I have to go make some changes and then restart and then wait, you know, a few seconds. I say a few seconds. Anyway, instant gratification or instant grafonication, maybe. I don't know. All right. So you do this for each entity that you want to graph. So we would just add another query, but you don't have to do it this way. You can actually just go, instead of like typing all that in, and by the way, this is where you would name it. So this is where it would be upstairs temp. And then you can go here and you can duplicate it, which is what I did earlier, which is why it said upstairs temp. So now I can change this one to main. And then instead of upstairs, we just need to change this to main floor, which again, not the best description. So everything else is the same. So it's the same in this case because it's two of the same device. I don't have to bother with changing any of these other selects. And the fills, you know, set to none. So anyway, now we're starting to get some data on the graph, which is a good thing. At this point, like, you know, you can keep adding as many entities as you want to overlay onto this graph, which was kind of my plan too, right? I mean, I think it'd be good to get the difference between the outside temp and the inside temp, maybe even the outside humidity. Anyway, you can add all those in there. So the next thing that I did was I set the unit to temperature. And for me, we use imperial system, so 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, so that's all I did. I gave it a label. I just called it temp, whatever. And then the legend for this panel is where you get to add all those other values that you want to stay, that you want to show up down here. So I clicked min, it shows me the minimums for both of the entries. Here's maximum, average, and you could even do current too, right? So you can also show them as a table, which might be a little easier to interpret. So I kind of like that. To the right. Oh, that's kind of cool too. Yeah, you can set the width. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, this is easy, and for me, it's all GUI, and I can just click buttons, and I get to see what I get as an end result. So, anyway. The next tab is display and draw mode. You can flip this to, you can put bars in it. You can take the lines out, which I wouldn't do if you wanted just points, or you wanted bars with points. I kind of like this chart. You can also change the transparency of the fill so that it's a little easier to see. You can, and you know, kind of expand the line width for the actual chart. So lots of good stuff in here. And I mean, really nothing that you can mess up. So it's kind of easy to go in and play around with. I have not played with alerts at a Grafana. I know that, you know, it looks pretty straightforward for me. I don't see myself necessarily using this. I would probably rather prefer to have the alerts out of Home Assistant. So anyway, all right. So here's where it defaulted to 1 hour. This is where you can put in 24 hours. You can do a time shift, so I can say, show me the previous 24 hours. That's kind of cool. Or you can do it as days. You can change this to 1 week and get even more data. You can see something happened here, like, whoop, lost something. I know I had a power outage somewhere around that time, because I think that was right before Christmas. So my UPS was online for a little while, and then it finally ran out of juice. So anyway, this is all pretty easy stuff. You know, easy to edit. I just, like, for me, like, this is easy, super easy. So my opinion. And I probably should change that, but, you know, whatever. Right, we're just messing around anyway. So once it's in here, then, you know, you can resize it to whatever you'd like, till your heart's content. So, you know, and you shuffle these panels around, just click on the headers, and it kind of gives you some guides on how to maybe better line them up, because my alignment skills are not necessarily the best. So anyway, just like, for me, this is awesome. I love it. What do you guys think so far? Am I way off track? Be good? Is this too beginnerish? Do I need to go, like, become a Grafana expert for you, Christoph, so that we can do some medium and high, more technical stuff? Because I'm happy to do that, but not, obviously can't do it tonight. So the goal tonight for me was kind of show Grafana off, and I figured you did. See, well, I figured you had Grafana set up. You're probably better at it than I am, but anyway, so sharing is caring. I'm just sharing back with the community, so hopefully somebody out there will get some value out of this. Yeah. So, again, for me, at least, and I'll probably show you something that maybe would be a little bit better, see why in a minute, for why you would use it over Hass.io. But again, like the ability to layer charts, and get a little bit better idea of what's going on, like this, to me, that's more valuable, especially if I can get this into Hass.io. I just feel like it just gives me a better idea of what's really going on. Like, what, I don't even know what happened here. Like, and if you look at what time this was, oh yeah, I don't know what that was. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it went to 82 degrees in the house, and I'm sure I woke up. And by the way, part of the reason that this is like, and I should have probably prefaced it as well. So I have all electric heat. I have no natural gas. I don't want to really buy propane, and it's not so much I don't want to buy it, it's such as I bought this house and it was maybe not necessarily built to code everywhere. So anyway, there's nowhere to vent propane. So even if I had natural gas, there would be nowhere to vent that either. It could be possible, but my point is, I didn't want to buy all new furnace. So we have a wood burning stove, and we also have a pellet stove in the basement. And I pretty much heat the house through the winter on those two things. So in the springtime, I get to split wood, and in the wintertime, I get to burn it. And so, like, when you see the temperature drop, typically that's because I haven't loaded the pellet stove or the fireplace or the wood burner with firewood, and so it gets cold at 1635. I probably wouldn't even hear. Same thing over here, right? So you kind of get an idea of what's going on. So this is why it's important for me. Hey, Dr. Z's, thanks for joining. I didn't do a whole lot on the setup because it's pretty straightforward. Like, you know, Frank is so awesome with his add-ons, and he's so meticulous, so it's pretty easy. Like, you know, I did just install the add-ons in Hass.io because Frank makes my life easy, and Frank, I appreciate that very much. So if you want me to do another stream on like actually walking through it, I could probably do that. It's not that hard though. I feel like Dr. Z, like I've seen what you're capable of doing, and I feel like you are capable of doing this. This is not difficult. So anyway, but I did talk about servers, and you missed that. So you should go back and watch at least like the first 15 minutes of the stream, because I totally offered, you know, and I am going to send you a care package. We need to determine what's going to be in the care package. I have some things that are not necessarily server related that I'm going to send you as well that are just collecting dust. So I know you will put them to good use. So I'm totally willing to donate them to a good cause. So, and to keep them out of the landfill. So one is a small UPS that needs a new battery. I'll even do you a favor and pull the old battery out before I ship it. And then I have something else that I'm not gonna tell you about it, but I think you'll like it. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Yeah, no, I think you'll enjoy it. And again, a lot of this stuff is just sitting around collecting dust because I either A, upgraded it, and I'm a bit of a hoarder, I guess you could say. I hate throwing stuff like that away. Like, it still works. You know, it may be not the fastest thing on the block anymore, but they're still functional, and so I'd rather see it go to a good cause. So, and maybe I'll do some giveaways of some of that stuff if there's some interest, but I don't know, maybe people aren't interested in my old junk. My wife will be certainly glad to see some of it gone. So anyway, all right. So back to Grafana, because I do want to try to get, so the goal was to build a dashboard in Grafana and then get it to show up in Home Assistant, and preferably Lovelace. I think it'd be pretty easy to get it to show up, you know, without Lovelace. But next week, I think maybe, hopefully, Lovelace will go, you know, mainstream and be the UI, and so we'll put it in Lovelace. I'm going to make an attempt to put it in Lovelace. So just to recap, yeah, humidity, temperature. It's crazy how those two are correlated, but not necessarily in the direction I thought they would be. But I kind of knew that, but you know, it's great to see it. So anyway, all right. So we got the dashboard built. I created a user for Hass.io. You can also do this with API keys. Although I didn't really find a good page on that. So what I'm going to use is this right here. I think this is the right one. I thought, oh boy, did I lose the, basically there's a way now. I need to close that. All right. I need to close that too. All right. Let me find this other. I don't know where that went. Oh, that's probably where it went. Probably went over here. Yeah. Isn't that something? All right. Somewhere I have a, oh, here we go. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. I thought there was just a camera add-on. I think I already did this though. So maybe what I'll do is I'll be brave and I'll just show you my config, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I've got to change this URL though. So I did already put this in. So basically what we're going to do is I added a camera entity, whoops, or not an entity, component, sorry. I'm trying to get this resized right so that you guys can see it. Normally there would be a camera colon above this, but because my config is set up a little different, it's not there. And I don't think I even need the platform. And I think I need to get rid of all of these spaces. And I tried to remember the shortcut key for that earlier in VS, and I don't remember it. So I'm just going to do it the old school way. So I'll put this in. I got Grafana user, Grafana password. Now I got to get the URL. There's no passwords. Well, at least I hope there's not. Maybe it's possible that there's still one or two floating around. Let's see here. So what we need to do is go back to Grafana, and so probably I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this temporary one that I can. I'm going to remove it. Yeah, and it wants me to make sure that I'm removing the right one. And I did want to make a couple of other quick edits to this because I kind of actually liked the way that the display was. Legend to the right as a table. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. So the next thing that, by the way, if you make all those changes when you're editing the panel, you need to make sure that you click this Save Dashboard button. Because if you don't, it doesn't save the changes. So we'll save that. All right, cool. All right, so that's done. And the next thing is we're going to click this Share Dashboard button. Oh. That's weird. So current time range, template variable. I wonder if that's, oh yeah, I don't want the current time range, but I want, oh. Yeah, I don't want that. Okay. I think I want this link, but I think template variables. I'm worried about this current time range, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I know. And you've been sure that you pulled your phone out. I missed the whole live stream where you showed your phone number, but I thought that everybody was pretty nice about it. So I think that's all we need. And there's a copy button right there. So now let's go back to, I'm going to go Brave mode again here. Oh, did the stream go offline? Well, I don't, oh, it's buffering. Yeah, my wife may be watching TV. I don't know. She might be, when I say watching, I mean like streaming 4K or something. She does that sometimes. So hopefully it gets better. And that's a problem with live streaming, is that like it's hard to test. Anyway, you know, it is what it is. Let me know if it keeps buffering. It's a pretty good, like, okay, I'm gonna pull a Dr. Z here. This is, anytime you have streaming troubles, this is where you go to first. Right? So yeah, let's see. Well, this is my 4G connection. Let's see, and I'm still streaming, so like that can't help it. I mean, you can see the page is loading kind of slow. Yeah, it's getting hammered right now. Now I could piss my wife off and pause the TV, but I'm not going to do that. I'll just have to suffer through it. My ping time got a little high, and it's raining here. So 4G in the rain. I'm streaming. She's streaming. You know, lots of stuff going on, and I'm sure the stream's going to get worse now. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Usually I get about 10 meg up when I did it earlier. So anyway, that's the Dr. Z way to check the stream. So normally, no, seriously, I get about 40, 45, 50 meg down, and I usually get between 15 and 20 up. So it's pretty good. Anyway, I need some ad blocker. I know. Sometimes yeah, I know. I do need some ad blocker. But I want to show you guys something else too, because I notice that I like get all these tabs open when I'm working on something. And then I don't want to close my windows because I'm afraid I'll lose the tabs, and then I lose them anyway. So there's a pretty sweet extension called One Tab where you can actually, like, if I open a bunch of tabs, like, and then I collapse them down. In this case, it didn't really have anything there, but anyway, it's pretty slick out in. I know you're in your pie hole. Shut. Just kidding. All right, where was I? You guys are a total distraction. This is how Dr. Z sees squirrels. All right. Oh, and I closed that window and I wanted it back open. Oh well, we'll just have to open it here. Yeah. All right. So where was I? I copied that. Oh, I got to paste it in my config. That's what I need to do. Hopefully this works. I haven't tested this. We'll see. You know what? This is like the part that I'm like, ugh. I have to now go restart Home Assistant. I say I'm ugh. You know, whatever. It is what it is. There's worse things. All right. I gotta get rid of that old saved link too. Oh, come on, seriously. All right. We'll do a quick config check. Yep. And hit the "Are you feeling lucky" button. All right. So that's good. That's good. Next thing we got to do is add it into Lovelace. So let me just. It's probably not back up yet. It takes a while. I say a while. It takes it a minute. There's a lot of stuff to load. Must be getting close. There it goes. All right. So we'll go back here. So I added that camera as a URL. So I should just be able to drop the camera. I know you guys are gonna like this too. I haven't flipped over to the RAW, so I'm still doing the whole. I actually don't mind it. This is the new configure UI option. There's some things that I like. There's some things that I don't like. Like that. So now the question is, what I need to do something about. Where am I? Pull this out. All right. You want to see my config? You want to see like the states page? Yeah, I know. It's not pretty. It's like, if I show you the states page, it's really bad. That's why I try not to even show it. Yeah. It's pretty bad. All right, back to it. So, I thought this was what I wanted. Camera image. Now I just need to add. So I should have that URL as a camera object. And now I just want to display a camera. So if I go, I thought that I had one here. I don't know where the cameras went. Oh, there they are. Oh, but see the front porch. Yeah, that's probably not going to work. Let me see if I can just at least see what the... Oh, well, that's easy enough. I could just add it as an entity. That must be camera card. Oh, let's just give it a go. Yeah, my wife is definitely watching like 4K movie. Sorry for the background noise. I think I want to skip this. I just want to do entity. Yeah. All right. Let's give it a try. Oh, that like epic fail. I need a fail button. Yeah. So maybe I want to put it in a glance card. Can I do that? That card was epic failure. No, it won't let you put a fail. That's fail too. At this point, I'm open to suggestions. I don't want a media control. I don't want a filter. Oh, how about a picture glance? And what was that thing called? It was called... Can I do that? Is that possible? Let's see if this works. Yeah, it's not going to let me save that. And this is why people prep for these things. Isn't that right, Dr. Z? Yeah, I don't know why. Thanks to Moshe. I don't know why it didn't. Why it's not liking my entity ID though. Picture glance. I need to figure out how you. Anybody ever get worried, like when you're searching and you type in Lovelace? Like, sometimes I'm wondering, like, I don't know. Anyway. All right. Entities. Oh, that's probably what we want is camera image. Since that's technically a camera. But why is it? I need to look at a sample config here. Maybe I'll have to go read how those guys did it because I thought they had found a way around not using the Python script and just referencing the URL. But I didn't put user and password in the URL. But no, I did. I had that in the secret file. So here's a question. If I added that as a state, shouldn't it show up as just a regular old state somewhere? Yeah, I'm getting nothing there. That's not good. Let's see here. Well,
Let's see. Somebody sent me something here. Sent me some paste bin. Oh, well, let's just try this. We'll have to edit it just a little bit, but type picture glance, title, motion, image, camera image. But that, yeah, well, I don't know, maybe it'll work. Just, hey, I'm a camera dot. I think that's what that was called. Cool. Let's give it a whirl. I think I need to get rid of this though. Maybe not. It looks like it's trying to save it, but it's like there's nothing there. So my URL's not working. You know what I should have done was tried that URL by itself. Yeah. Let's go back to sharing. Copy. Yeah. Well, that works. That's the URL. And it obviously worked. I just copied and pasted it in there. Maybe it doesn't like that as a picture card. Or I mean as a camera card or a camera entity, like the way that I added it. So maybe that's where the problem is. Alright, I'm gonna have to do some more digging on that. So, and we're at 9:10. So I kind of planned on doing an hour-ish. Yeah, this was the one that I was following at the beginning. But this guy created a Python script. There was another one. I think he got around that finally. Originally, he was using a Python script. He was downloading the image file to Home Assistant, and then he was just referencing the image file. And then they added a component. There's a downloader component that you could add. So maybe I'll do that on the next stream. I just want to take a couple of minutes to wrap up on Grafana because Asidwa, if you're still listening, thanks for hanging in there. And what I was going to show you, and maybe you already saw all this, maybe you already checked all this stuff out. The Grafana guys have a pretty good community as well. And so for me, the other thing was they have a bunch of like community dashboards. And so this is stuff that's already built. And I thought I saw something on Discord the other night that you were maybe moving to MikroTik from Ubiquiti. I don't know. I found that kind of interesting. I have some older, for like kind of first gen Ubiquiti stuff, AP long range, the long range APs. They were okay. I kind of had some fits with firmware and stuff, but anyway, there's a pretty sweet Ubiquiti. So the good news is that, or maybe it was called Unify. Yeah. Anyway, there's just some totally amazing dashboards out here. Like, you're loving the MikroTik? Yeah. Well, the good news is that the MikroTik will support SNMP. So that's kind of the missing, in my opinion, if you really want to leverage Grafana and InfluxDB for things other than just, Home Assistant states, you really need to also use something called Telegraph. And Frank has already told me that he's not going to create an add-on for it because he felt like it was way too complex. And it probably is for the average user. I'll give him that. What he is going to do is, I thought it did V2 as well, but I'll look into that. Thanks. SNMP V1, V2. Yeah, I thought it did V2. Anyway, Frank is working, and he listed this on his New Year's resolution, New Year's roadmap, that he's been working on this for a little while. Something called what's it called? Oh my gosh, I think it's called Glances. Yeah, that's why I was like, that doesn't seem right. Yeah. He's working on something called Glances, which, you know, I spent a lot of time in like crusty terminals, and so I always try to look and find something better. So anyway, the good news is that Glances can export data to Influx. So anyway, what I'm saying, back to, you know, what I was talking about at Sidwa is you're going to be able to like get a lot of really good data about the whole system. So that's stuff that Home Assistant doesn't really show you. And I know you're kind of geeky like that. So, but I'm just saying, like, I still think some of these cards are pretty sweet. You know, this guy's combined his NAS with, you know, some door sensors and, you know, just Plex. He's got a map. I saw a plugin for Grafana that will take your Nginx logs and plot like where all the IPs are sourced from, so you can like kind of see where people are hitting your Nginx server from. Oh yeah, Telegraph's awesome. Yeah, and I have it set up as well. I don't have it completely configured. I'm still working on my SNMP configs, but yeah, Telegraph gives you a lot of this stuff. But anyway, I like, to me, like, this is pretty clean here. Somebody already did. Like, look at that. You guys are talking about ad blockers. This guy, there are a lot of internet surfing going on over there. So, some good stuff. Yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool. You know, packet loss. Like, this is all really good stuff to see. So, this is, you know, flood warning. Hopefully the guy made it out all right. October the 10th. So, I don't know who created this. I don't know if they give credit. I thought they did. Oh, Conrad Costello or Castillo. Anyway, awesome stuff. He's got a pretty awesome picture, it looks like, in the background there, too. I can't quite make out what that is, but... I don't know if that's like some massive display or picture. Anyway. All right, guys. So that was kind of just my intro to Grafana, and it wasn't 100% successful. I at least stayed a little bit focused, but I don't feel like I was successful in getting these dashboards into Lovelace. But so that'll be the next thing, or maybe HA dashboard. So I'm still, you know, let me show you. I don't know if I can show you or not. Dang it. I wanted to show you guys something. So again. The abilities of Dino Tech are just amazing, and I totally reused all of his work that he published so kindly. But like, this card looks awesome on my Windows box. On my Mac, not so much. On my phone, it's like, yeah, it's just not pretty at all. So for my Fire HD tablets, I think they don't render it right either. I don't even think they'll render it, and so I kind of knew that going into it with Lovelace. You kind of have to be careful with all the custom cards, because a lot of the web kit that's like on the Fire HDs like doesn't support it. A lot of older Samsung tablets don't support it. Like, if you're not running the latest Google WebKit, which you may not have control over, like on a Fire HD tablet, then it just doesn't render right. So I may end up going back to HA dashboard, just so I can at least get something. So yeah, and then let's see what else. Oh, thanks. Big shout out to Dr. Z. I got some motion sensors in today. These are 433s, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then the other thing, Sidwa, that I've been diligently working on, and I've gotten what I feel like, well, I've gotten pretty far, but I'm having some problems, and I don't know what they are. So I should have just left it plugged into the prototype board here, I guess. Whatever. I'll plug it back in. Let's see if you guys can. I'm gonna just unplug it from the USB. So ESP8266. So this is me. I was successful in getting the firmware for Connected flashed, and getting the source files uploaded and getting the web server. It has a status page. The status page comes up. I got my configs into Home Assistant. What else? It's doing something weird where it like won't. Well, I say weird. It doesn't work in that it. Well, first off, Home Assistant comes up and says, "Hey, we see you have a connected, but there's no config," or we found a connected device, but there's not an associated config, which is not true. There is a config. So anyway, I'm still working through that last bit because my goal is to replace. Oh, you did get it flashed too. Awesome, sweet. So anyway, so I may need some help then, since maybe you're further along than me. I may need some help getting my connected devices set up. Anyway, so I'm pretty excited though about the PIRs. That's going to be a big help. Because for me, you know, like as it relates to the alarm stuff, because it's log home and all, you know, majority of the logs are like solid. I don't have the ability. There's no drywall, so I can't just like, oh, hey, I'm going to go run a new wire. It's just not an option. So as much as I may not like it, wireless is king for me. They were at least nice enough. They did run some Cat5 to most of the bedrooms, so I at least have some Cat5, and it goes down to my mechanical room in the basement for distribution. So I did get lucky there. So anyway, all right, guys. Thanks again for joining. Hopefully, at least some of you learned something. Christoph, I didn't forget about you, but you saw me struggling with just the regular Grafana cards, so I need to do some more brushing up. Maybe I should have just covered the install. But I am going to add, like I say, I actually wanted to add some of these single stack cards as well, and I want to look at some of the other dashboards that are on the dashboard site. But anyway, I think that's all, unless anybody has anything else. Thanks for joining. I know it's not quite Dr. Z's, but I'm still, he's got some time on me, and I'm getting there. This is all still pretty new to me, but I'm enjoying it a lot. And the community, all you people, everybody's great. Like, it's just awesome. Everybody helps everybody else out. I can show you one other little thing that I can't take all the credit for it by any means. Let's see, it was, yeah, so this is a little sensor that basically, again, I didn't write it, and it's raining, so you can actually see it kind of in action now. But I'm just getting this data off of the USGS site. They have a, yeah, they have like, they have all this data on the lake levels and inflow and outflow, and anyway, they make it all available via JSON. And I had no idea, but I at least got it narrowed down to an individual URL, and then I popped into the Home Assistant Discord channel early this morning. A couple of guys totally helped me parse out the JSON. I was pretty close. Like, I had done some work, you know, to try to get there. I was off by basically just a couple of items. So anyway, I was pretty excited about that. So I'm going to be pulling that into the dashboard too. Anyway, maybe I can show some more on that later, but it really was pretty simple. Like, it was just a little sensor with, you know, here's a REST call to this URL, and I don't know, where am I? Let me see if I can find my sensors. Yep, here it is. Whoop. Where'd you go? Yeah, so you can see all my Fable attempts prior to their help, and I just commented them out. So this was the money line, and this is the URL right here. So I can actually just control click that. So this is like what you get when you hit the URL, and then I parsed it out and found this good little bit of code wherever it went, somewhere around in here. There's code that shows the lake level. Anyway, good stuff. So thanks to all the guys in Discord and all the contributors. Like I say, I'm pretty excited about it all. And that's all I got. Thanks for joining. I'm going to sign off. My kids are grown and gone, which most people would think that's a good thing, but I'll just tell you right now that I wish they were here. So anyway, enjoy it. I know at times it seems like they're a challenge, but they're not. There's opportunity, and they've been awesome. But they're grown up for the most part in their 20s, so they don't live at home anymore. And I will see you guys later. Got to work on sign off, and I got to work on some kind of intro. Like, I got all this projects to do. My desk is a total mess because of the projects. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it. I'm out. I'll catch you on Discord. I'll work on the next stream. Maybe be a little bit more prepared. Maybe find something to go in depth on. I don't know. It's hard to judge. I need feedback, right? Like, I don't even know if Christoph's still out there, but if you are, like, I just need to understand, hey, is this too high level, too low level? Well, I know it wasn't too low level because I obviously didn't know the topic that well myself, but yeah, always another project. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's fun. I enjoy it. So anyway, all right, guys, I will see you later. That is not the same.